Hello and welcome to James Hennon on YouTube. Today I've decided to make my second tarot tip, and today's video is going to be covering numerology within the minor arcana. This video is going to be in two parts, so this part will cover 1 to 10, ace through to 10, and the second video I'm going to discuss the placements of pages, knights, queens and kings in relation to numerology and how they come within the suit that we're talking about, or the suits. So obviously what we're going to talk about is the numbers, and then we're going to talk about the suit in which is associated with them. So it'll give you a bit of a foundation, a good foundation to start with, so you can get off to a good start in a reading knowing what the number is likely to mean or does mean within the situation, and then you can let your intuition sort of go to fill in the gaps, so to speak. So to start off with, I've selected the Ace of Wands for the first card. Now, the aces talk about new beginnings, their new starts, their new cycles, their new opportunities. They are the start of something. It's the raw essence of the suit. So this could be a new concept, a new idea, it could be a new inspiration. It depends upon the element. So to use the example of the wand, we're looking at, if this comes out in a reading, it's talking about inspiration. Normally, inspiration, it could be talking about enthusiasm, it could be talking about drive, but it's that newness, that new drive, new enthusiasm, new confidence even, to explore something, that get up and go, because that's what wands are talking about. It's the spirit of things, the drive, the goals, the enthusiasm, the energy, the enthusiasm to do things. So the ace is the beginning, a new beginning coming within that area, and obviously as it's a wand, you'd associate the energy of the wand to what that new beginning could mean. To give you a very quick example, the Ace of Wands could mean that there's a potential for a passionate new love affair, or there could be a new career opportunity, or you could just have a new goal that you're very enthusiastic and eager to get going, and the opportunity to start something new is now presenting itself. It's a new option, a new way of looking at things, a new idea. It could just be new energy. As I say, it's, in essence, they're quite raw though, so you won't have all the answers. You'll just have that sense of knowing that something new is going to come in. Obviously more considerations and evaluations will need to be made before that can be put into play. So the second card out, and I've selected the sword suit to describe this, is the twos. Twos stand for mainly choices and decisions, but they can also stand for partnerships, and they can sometimes stand for balance. But the main meaning that I really attribute to this card is choice, because we have to make a choice. Where we have got the ace, we then have to decide what we're going to do with what we're planning to do. Now again, the twos, you'll have to attribute the suit to it. This element is thinking. So the Two of Swords general meaning is being stuck, knowing a choice has to be made. But at the moment, more information may be needed because not enough might not be seen, or you might not be ready or willing to make a decision. So the intellect will be needed to help make that choice, make that decision. And that, of course, will bring the balance into play as well. So something needs to be considered. It may be something that really cannot be avoided. So the presence of quite a few twos in a reading could mean that the querient, or yourself, or a friend, whoever you're reading for, could well have a lot to be thinking about. There's a lot of important choices that may need a lot more consideration, but a choice is important before anything further can take place. So the third card I've selected is card number 3. And this is the third card in the numerology. This will be covering It can be initial progress. It's expansion of your vision or goal or plans. And it generally correlates to creativity. So it's creativity within what you're trying to do. And again, if you associate the suit with the 3 that you have, the 3 of Pentacles can talk about cooperation, and it can talk about building something new being built and established. And it's an initial sort of sense of progress and achievement. And that was just pretty much the same for all the 3s. But it's creativity. It's about looking for creative options and looking how you can expand and build on them. And as I say, get that initial sense of success. It isn't the finished article, but it's a good time. A lot of these in a reading will suggest that there is a lot of creative options to be explored, and creativity and new ideas would be a good idea, especially those that help to build and expand and grow what you've already got going for you. So 3s in a way as well can symbolize growth, expansion, improvement, etc., usually through careful nurturing as well. So then we come on to number 4, and I've selected the Wands again for that. 4s generally stand for stability and foundations, but they can also stand for stagnation. You'll usually find with 4s that if a lot of 4s come out in a reading, there will be stability. There will be either a need for it or there is stability. But there could also be a fact that the situation may not be moving, but it may not be regressing. So it's in a position where it's kind of, it may be stuck, but it may be stuck for a reason. Maybe that the person needs a little bit more stability and assurance before they can move forward. 4s stand for the need for predictability and reliability. And once you've got a basic sense of security and stability, you can build on things. But in the case of the 4 of Pentacles, it could mean that once you get to a certain stage, you might have that sort of miser mentality where you might want to try and keep hold of what you've got, or be frightened to step out of your comfort zone and give more to the world or do more. So there is a warning of that. So that's where stagnation can come in with a 4 if you stay too long in a situation. A lot of 4s in a situation could mean there probably isn't likely to be a lot of movement at this time. Keeping things secure and predictable probably is advisable, but it could mean that you are also stuck in a bit of a rut and maybe not seeing all the opportunities that could be around you. So you need to take that into consideration. Depending on what cards are reinforcing these or opposing these, it will give you more insights. So then we move on to the 5th card. And the 5th card is all about change, strife, conflicts, and instability. Now, it usually means that in most cases, the 4 brought the stability, but then the stability may not have been moved. You might not have moved with what you had to do next. You might have stayed where you were for too long, which has then brought about the need for change because the situation has become a little bit more volatile. It is a bit more unstable, and now you have to look at ways that you can adjust and change the situation. Alternative situations need to be considered to help bring the situation back on track and to bring that stability back. And again, going with the suits, this example I've given you here is the 5 of Cups. So that's emotional instability. Perhaps a relationship has come to an end, or there's been a disappointment, or perhaps a disappointment in the workplace, or you've lost a job, or there's a loss of finances or something. So something has to be taken stock of. And on an emotional level, you have to process how you feel, look at what's still behind you with the 2. So the 5 of Cups, you can see the 2 of Cups behind. So he still has 2 things to focus on. The 3 things, the 3 cups that are upturned are the upset, which it doesn't pay you to focus on too long. But the good news with the 5 is, when they appear in the spread, is once you identify that you need to make adjustments and changes, you can then start to look to bring in expansion and growth, because it will take you along. We grow through change. We don't grow through staying in the same position for too long. And although change is never always really called for or asked for, when it does happen, it can really help us to propel us forward and to look at new opportunities or expansion or just to better ourselves in some way, especially if a relationship is unproductive or work is unproductive. That necessary change where we have instability can help us to look at different options. So then we go on to card number 6. And I'm using the 6 of Swords to illustrate this one. So 6s in a spread generally tend to symbolize overcoming of the obstacles and restoring stability. They also talk about harmony and a sort of peaceful interlude before the next set of challenges. So with the 6 of Swords, this is in the picture there, we can see a woman and a child upon a boat with the guy there steering the boat out of troubled waters into calmer waters. So it's recovery. These two have obviously, these pair have obviously faced their challenges, and this is what the card is all about: facing the challenges and removing the resistance to what is stopping you, which then helps you to rebuild, restabilize and reharmonize your life. So with the 6 of Swords, you'd be moving away from stressful situations, and then you'd be rebalancing, restoring and rejuvenating the situation, giving yourself a slightly stronger foundation again to move forward to the next stage. A lot of 6s in the spread would suggest that the person you're reading for is looking to restore harmony and stability and looking to sort of find peaceful solutions, perhaps after all the struggles, and is looking to re-establish themselves and give them that time to do that. So harmony would be important to that person. If it's in the future, if you get a couple of 6s towards the end of the spread, it means they're very likely to find that harmony as well, and things can improve for them. Then we move on to the 7s. I've selected the Pentacles for this one. Pentacles generally tend to be about reflection and discovery, and they can be facing up to situations, but in most cases it's reflection. It's a chance for you to pause and reflect. There are different 7s. The 7 of Swords asks you to look at what you might be avoiding, because the figure is trying to make off with the swords. So you may need to sort of face up to something maybe that you've not been facing up to before previously, that you've avoided. The 7 of Pentacles in this example is he's evaluating the situation, taking stock of what he has against what new potentials that he does have. Does he stick and continue growing this, or does he explore new avenues? So it's an evaluation card. It's looking at what you've achieved. So 7s ask you to reflect. So a lot of 7s in a reading would be suggesting that the client is going through a period of reflection, looking at what they need to look at to achieve their next set of goals. Are they happy where they are, or do they need to make some radical adjustments, or some minor adjustments for that matter? I mean, it could just be a case that they need to take a little bit of time to see what progresses, see what comes out, or some cases they might be cutting their losses, but they'll only know through this period of reflection. Sorry about that, I think a lot of messages coming through. So then we move on to 8s, and 8s, I've used the 8 of Wands to symbolize this. The 8 of Wands is, well, the 8, should I say, are to do with movement and progression, moving things on, advancing. Where there's been stagnation or that, it gives you the chance to move forward. So where you're looking to move on a project, get something moving, like the 8 of Pentacles shows a figure working away with his pentacles, producing good results. He's committed to what he's doing. He's putting the work in. He wants to progress with something, get towards the end of something. He's working towards something. The Wands in flight, saying that they're going somewhere, that your goals are starting to come together. You've got things in motion. You're moving on something. There's not likely to be too many delays. The 8 of Swords, again, is about movement, but there is restriction with the movement. It's about finding a way to get out of your own head, to see the possible solutions and to move forward. It is ultimately about progression. So a lot of 8s in the spread would suggest that the person is aiming to move things forward towards nearing a completion, so to speak. So then we come across nines. Nines are particle completion and accomplishment or attainment. Now, this means that we're getting towards the end of the cycle. We've learned a lot of lessons. We've put ourselves in a much stronger position. And now is the time to probably achieve results. A lot of nines in a spread would mean that the Aquarian is able to deal with their own problems quite well and has got nearly to the end of what they're trying to do. Stability is almost, final stability or security is almost within reach. The example of the Nine of Cups, which I've used for this one, is about wish fulfillment, and it's about really accomplishing things of great emotional importance. The wish card is one of the best cards to get in a spread because it means you're likely to achieve what you're setting out to achieve. And it shows a lot of accomplishment is possible, both as a cup. The Pentacle also shows great accomplishment, the Nine of Pentacles, and success through your own efforts. The Nine of Swords is more about getting through your fears for what you wish to accomplish or achieve, knowing that fears can slow things down and stop you. The Nine of Wands is having to put the effort in to accomplish what you want to accomplish, knowing there's a lot of work involved and sometimes it can be very tiring and draining, and perhaps you may even be a little bit defensive about doing the work, but you know that you're nearly at the end. There's only going to be probably a couple more little minor challenges and you'll get yourself over the line. And then finally, we get to 10. 10 is completion. 10 is the end of the cycle. Now, I'm going to have to give you some other examples here because it's not going to necessarily relate to every suit. But in the Pentacles, it talks about successful conclusions, the building of a very secure, practical, financial future for you, or a physical future. It shows something that you've amassed good fortune and success. But if we were to look at the Ten of Swords, again, it is the end of a cycle, but it's the end of a difficult cycle. Again, you associate it with which one. So the tens in the swords would be intellect, time to very much make decisions to get yourself out of a situation that's run its course. Again, there's the sky in the background shows a bit of bright light, so there is hope on the horizon. It is the end of an intolerable situation, and you know that you're going to go back to the aces again and start again. The Ten of Wands shows the end of a burdensome phase, which again you'll feel refreshed because you'll be able to put down these burdens, things that are restricting you, including your vision, and you'll be able to start afresh. So that's ace through till 10 in numerology. Obviously, it pays to learn the suits and the elemental qualities properly, but combining them with the numbers gives you a framework so that you know exactly what you're dealing with when you start picking the cards up and do a reading. This is only the minor side of things, but it will give you a good start point to work alongside the more major cards. When you're working along majors, you'll be able to see why is the Death card important, and then you can see why, because you've got, for instance, the Seven of Pentacles is asking you to sort of evaluate what needs to change, how you can change things, transform things, and so on, just to give you an example. But play around with that, ask questions and see what numbers come out most importantly. Obviously, the elements and the cards will have different meanings for each of the fives or each of the fours, but they're all along the same lines of either stability, change, new beginnings, choices, reflections, advancement, completion, or I've forgotten the other one. It's gone out of my head, but you understand what I'm saying. So it's play around with the cards and you'll see. But I hope you find this video helpful. If you do, please give us a thumbs up. I'd love to hear your views or comments below, and I will be shortly making a second video which will cover the pages Knights, Queens and Kings. So until then, take care, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye bye.